Oh, Eddington. I've been kind of dreading this one. This is going to be a long one, so buckle up. Where do I even start? I'll start with, did I like this movie? No, I didn't. Did I understand it? Yes, I did. Is it about COVID? Is it about sexual abuse, conspiracy theories, Black Lives Matter, Indigenous land, the chaos of the mind and the world? Yeah, it's about way too much. Eddington's built as a Western with cell phones, and walking into watching this, I was expecting something more akin to Ari's usual trauma-induced hysteria, just under a COVID lens, which on paper sounds really good. Not much in execution, though. We are 4 movies deep into Ari Aster's run, and I'm beginning to believe the Emperor may have no clothes on. Undoubtedly, he's one of the most interesting filmmakers alive today. I saw Hereditary 3 times in the theater. It's one of my all-time favorite horror movies. Midsommar gave us Florence Pugh, and one of the most layered and interesting takes on folk horror ever created. Beau's Afraid, not my favorite, but the first hour is pretty great, even though the middle does meander a bit, and the ending's bonkers, and I personally really liked it. I appreciate the swing, but I can totally get why somebody wouldn't like it, and it's way too long. Which brings us to Eddington. One of my huge complaints about Beau's Afraid is that it felt phony. Like, there's just something phony about Ari's cynicism. The stuff is just too basic and sketched out to feel sufficiently mean or much less insightful. Whether this is true or not, I'm not going to pretend to know how Aster spent his 2020. I do know he said he spent a lot of it on Twitter. I got the impression of someone who hasn't lived in the world enough to adequately execute what he's trying to say here. His approach to cults and conspiracies and disease and police protests and municipal politics all felt similar to his own gag about a teenager who Googles Angela Davis to try and get laid. Editing to me is the kind of film that thinks it's holding a mirror to society, but it's really just shouting into the void. It's not short on ambition. This thing throws everything it can at a screen. Again, COVID, conspiracy theories, performative politics, online radicalization, racial tension, trauma, lots of trauma. It's Ari, of course, toxic masculinity, you name it. But instead of creating something sharp and focused, it ends up just loud and exhausting. It's just a collage of chaos that we're all too familiar with. Now, there are flashes of insight and a few genuinely funny and promising scenes kind of buried underneath all this noise, but none of it gets enough room to breathe. The film wants to say something profound about America's unraveling, but it mostly just, is restating everything that we already know. It's cynical without being thoughtful, it's crowded without being cohesive, and it's bold in all the wrong ways. The performances are flat, the pacing drags, and despite aiming for biting satire, the whole thing just feels emotionally hollow. Everyone's a symbol. Every institution is broken. By the time it ends, you're just left less challenged and just drained. The film's depiction of liberal activists often feels heightened to the point of a caricature, and it's more reflective of online stereotypes than any real behavior seen in small town America. I get that that's kind of the point, but there's a gag in the film where this kid's talking to his parents about white supremacy, and then they just kind of dog him on it. And I was like, "Yo, he was cooking. Let him cook." I get performative politics are bad, but not all of it's misaligned. That's not the point of this movie, though. This imbalance kind of undermines the film's attempts at any type of ideological clarity or critique, but maybe that's on purpose. Maybe that's by design. But the liberal characters to me often felt like straw men, like unlikely to exist in a town this small, or at any moment in time. So it was just like, what are they doing here? The film's best attempt at satire, which actually made me laugh, is a cheesy campaign video for Mayor Ted's re-election that features him unironically playing the piano and elbow bumping minorities. It was chef's kiss. It was really funny. Still, if the film is meant to, find satire and reflecting reality, it fails. But if it's aiming to kind of portray the absurdity of American polarization, it does partly succeed. The performances carry the film. Joaquin Phoenix is predictably strong, even though he's leaning really heavy into his accent, resulting in a lot of mumbling more than anything. But Joaquin, he's the GOAT, he's great. Yes, we're all tired of Pedro Pascal, he's here again, but he does bring balanced energy, and it's more of a looming presence than a fully fleshed out character. Emma Stone is painfully underused in this, which is ironic given her really rich, nuanced performance in that miniseries The Curse, which I'd highly recommend if you haven't watched it. That show actually deals with these themes in a much better way, in my opinion. Austin Butler and Deidre O'Connell are also here, and they are kind of the film's secret weapons, both in small parts, but they're just really magnetic when they're on the screen, which there's more of them. The technical elements here are pretty sound, pretty great. You have awesome cinematography from Darius Kanji. He did Uncut Gems and Mickey 17, and he just brings like this larger vision to the film, kind of transforming a bright western town into a shadowy haunted place. One of the film's best directing choices. 5 minutes in, let's wrap this up. Eddington might have been a far better film if Aster had waited longer before tackling the subject matter so recent. It's really raw. The film, in my opinion, lacks both distance and insight. Its refusal to take a clear position or to truthfully explore the roots of America's descent into madness makes it feel more like a cynical thought than thoughtful, which is a shame because in the press for this, I do think Aster is a very thoughtful director. It does nod to some true and pressing issues like racism, white privilege, scapegoating, white supremacy, and abuse. But what it presents as an intellectual exercise just kind of ends up creatively hollow, in my opinion. Much like the protagonist in this, Joe Cross, half of America's brains are just stabbed to bits. And Aster doesn't seem to really know how to explain that to us. He's just kind of throwing it all at us and being, now you deal. All that to say, I give this a solid 5 out of 10. It's going to be a very divisive film. I understand that there's a lot of thematic elements in this and things that are happening on screen that have deeper meaning, but most people are not going to dig that deep into this. They're going to look at it from the surface level, and that's why I wish that it was a little bit more focused and wasn't just throwing all these different ideas at the screen. It truly feels like the Twitter timeline of 2020. So props for that, but I expected more from him. So hopefully the next round with him is better. Did you watch this? If you did, what'd you think of it? Shout out in the comments below. If you watched all this, you're the GOAT. Talk to you next time. Bye.